Hey Taurus, come sit down because what I just pulled for you in the next 7 days is something that genuinely caught me off guard. You know how sometimes you have this quiet question living in the back of your mind, something you never actually voiced out loud because maybe it felt too vulnerable or too uncertain to even form into words. Well, the universe apparently heard it anyway. And what's coming through these cards is an answer you didn't know you were waiting for. I'm looking at these 6 cards spread out in front of me right now. And honestly, the energy here is so different from what I usually see for Taurus. There's this quality of unexpected revelation mixed with practical magic, if that makes sense. It's like the universe decided to skip the whole ask, and you shall receive formality, and just went straight to delivering exactly what your soul has been quietly wondering about. Before we dive into each card, I want you to understand something. This reading isn't about dramatic upheavals or shocking plot twists. It's more subtle than that. It's about those moments when suddenly something clicks into place, and you realize, oh, that's what I've been trying to understand. That feeling when clarity arrives not with trumpets and fanfare, but with a quiet sense of rightness that settles into your bones. So the first card I pull is the Magician. And can we just talk about this for a moment? The Magician showing up first is telling me that in these next 7 days, you're stepping into a version of yourself that knows exactly what tools are already in your hands. You see, Taurus, you've been downplaying your own capabilities lately. Not in an obvious way, but in that subtle Taurus fashion where you just keep your head down and do the work without acknowledging how much power you actually wield. The Magician is about manifestation. Yes, but it's also about recognition. It's the universe holding up a mirror and saying, look at what you can actually do when you stop second-guessing yourself. That quiet question you've been carrying, the one you never spoke out loud, it probably has something to do with your own potential. Maybe you've been wondering if you really have what it takes to pull off that thing you've been contemplating. Maybe you've been questioning whether you're actually capable of the transformation you sense is possible. Here's what the Magician is answering without you having to ask. You have everything you need already. Not in some abstract spiritual way, but literally. The resources, the skills, the connections, the knowledge, it's all already there. What's been missing is your own acknowledgement of this fact. In the next 7 days, you're going to have this moment, probably when you least expect it, where you look at a situation and suddenly see all the pieces differently. It's like when you've been staring at one of those optical illusion images and then suddenly you see the other picture that was hidden in plain sight the whole time. The Magician is also bringing a message about communication and how you wield your words. There's something you need to say or express in the coming week, and the universe is giving you the green light to speak with authority. Not arrogance, but that grounded Taurus confidence that comes from actually knowing what you're talking about. Someone needs to hear what you have to say, even if you think it's not that important or that they probably already know it. Trust me on this. Your perspective carries more weight than you realize right now. I'm also seeing with the Magician that there's an element of alchemy happening here. You know how Taurus energy is so connected to the physical, tangible world. Well, you're about to discover how to transmute one form of resource into another. Maybe that's turning a skill into income, or transforming a connection into an opportunity, or converting knowledge into action. The exact form will reveal itself. But watch for moments where you can be the bridge between potential and reality. Now the second card is the Fool. And okay, this is where things get really interesting. The Fool appearing after the Magician is the universe essentially saying you've got all the tools and skills. Now it's time to take a leap you've been avoiding. But here's the thing about the Fool that I think gets misunderstood a lot. It's not about being reckless or naive. It's about that particular kind of courage that comes from trusting yourself enough to step into the unknown. Taurus, you like certainty. You like knowing where your feet are going to land before you take the step. That's not a criticism, that's literally your superpower in most situations. But the Fool is showing up to tell you that the answer to your unspoken question involves embracing a little bit of beautiful uncertainty. There's something in the next 7 days that's going to invite you to try something new, to approach a situation from a completely fresh angle, or to simply let go of needing to have everything figured out before you begin. What I love about the Fool in your reading specifically is that it's not asking you to abandon your Taurus nature. It's asking you to remember what it felt like before you learned to be cautious. There was a version of you, probably when you were younger, who was more willing to experiment, to play, to see what happens. That energy wants to come back, not to replace your hard-earned wisdom, but to work alongside it. The unspoken question this addresses might be something like, what would happen if I just went for it? What if I stopped overthinking this? What if I trusted my instincts more than my fears? The Fool is the universe's answer, and it's essentially saying the outcome is going to surprise you in the best possible way. But only if you're willing to take that first step without having a guarantee. In practical terms, watch for an opportunity in the next week that feels slightly outside your comfort zone. Not dangerously so, just enough to make you pause and think, I don't usually do things this way. That pause is where the Fool lives. Instead of letting that moment of hesitation talk you out of it, let it be the signal that this is exactly the kind of new beginning the cards are pointing toward. There's also something here about spontaneity and timing. The Fool doesn't plan every detail because the Fool understands that some of the best things happen in the gaps between our carefully laid plans. You might receive an unexpected invitation, or a random conversation might open a door you didn't even know existed. Or you might simply wake up one morning and feel compelled to do something completely different with your day. Go with it? That impulse is divine guidance in disguise. The third card is Queen of Pentacles. And honestly, this feels like the universe giving you the biggest vote of confidence. After the Magician showed you your tools and the Fool encouraged you to leap, here comes the Queen of Pentacles to remind you who you actually are at your core. This card is so perfectly Taurus energy that I almost laughed when I turned it over. It's like the universe is saying, I know, I just asked you to be spontaneous and trust the unknown. But don't worry, you're still going to land on solid ground because that's who you are. The Queen of Pentacles represents mastery of the material world, but not in a cold or calculating way. She's the queen who has abundant resources precisely because she knows how to nurture them. She tends to her garden, both literally and metaphorically. She creates stability not through control, but through consistent care and attention. She's generous but wise about it. She knows her worth, and she doesn't apologize for requiring that others respect it. This card is answering a question you might not have even consciously formed, but I bet it's been sitting in your energy field. The question is something like, can I be successful and still be myself? Can I have security without sacrificing my values? Can I build something substantial that also feels good and right and aligned? The Queen of Pentacles is saying yes. Not only can you do this, you're actually already doing it. You just haven't fully claimed it yet. In the next 7 days, you're going to have an opportunity to step more fully into this Queen of Pentacles energy. This might look like setting a boundary that protects your resources, whether that's your time, your energy, or your actual finances. It might look like saying no to something that doesn't align with your values, even if it seems like a good opportunity on paper. It might look like investing in yourself or your space in a way that feels both practical and pleasurable. What I really want you to understand about this card is that it's giving you permission to want both security and beauty, both stability and sensory pleasure, both success and alignment. You don't have to choose. The Queen of Pentacles has her thriving garden, her comfortable home, her financial stability, and she has fresh flowers on her table and good food in her kitchen and beauty surrounding her. She understands that abundance isn't just about accumulation. It's about creating a life that feels good to live. There's also a message here about your relationship with giving and receiving. The Queen of Pentacles is naturally generous, but she's not a martyr about it. She gives from overflow, not from depletion. If you've been giving more than you've been receiving lately, this card is a gentle reminder to restore that balance. Notice in the next week, where you might be overextending yourself, and practice receiving with the same grace that you give. Moving into the fourth card, we have Ace of Pentacles, and this is where the reading shifts from internal realization to external manifestation. An ace is always a gift from the universe, a new beginning, a seed being planted. The Ace of Pentacles specifically is about a tangible new opportunity related to your material world, your work, your finances, your physical reality. Here's what's fascinating about this showing up in your reading. Remember how I said the universe is answering a question you never asked out loud? Well, the Ace of Pentacles is the form that answer is going to take. This isn't just going to be an internal epiphany, although there will be that too. This is going to be an actual, concrete opportunity that shows up in your physical reality within these next 7 days. Now, I know what you might be thinking. An ace, that sounds big and dramatic. But here's the thing about Pentacles energy, it's often quite practical and understated. This new beginning might not announce itself with fireworks. It might show up as a conversation that leads somewhere unexpected, or an email you almost didn't open, or someone mentioning something in passing that suddenly makes you think, wait, that's actually perfect for what I've been working on. The key with the Ace of Pentacles is recognition. The seed is going to be offered to you, but you have to recognize it for what it is and then choose to pick it up and plant it. This is where the magician's awareness and the fool's willingness to try something new become really important. If you're stuck in old patterns of thinking or too afraid to reach for something new, you might miss this opportunity entirely. Not because it's hidden, but because you're not looking for it. What I'm sensing about this particular ace is that it's related to something you're genuinely good at. This isn't about forcing yourself into a completely foreign territory. It's about a new way to express or expand something that's already part of your skill set. Maybe it's a new client or project that lets you use your abilities in a fresh context. Maybe it's a financial opportunity that aligns with your values. In a way, previous ones haven't, maybe? It's literally about something physical like a new living situation or a tangible object that becomes important to your work or well-being. The Ace of Pentacles also carries this beautiful energy of worthiness. It's the universe saying you deserve this new beginning. You've earned it through all the work you've been doing, seen and unseen. There's no test you have to pass to be worthy of this gift. It's being offered freely because you're ready for it, even if you don't feel completely ready. Trust that the timing is right. In practical terms, stay alert in the next 7 days for opportunities that have a quality of newness to them. Something that feels fresh and different from what you've been experiencing. Don't overthink whether you're qualified or ready. The ace appears when you're on the threshold, not after you've already crossed it. Your job is simply to say yes and take the first step. The fifth card is Eight of Cups, and I'll be honest. When this turned over, I had to sit with it for a minute because it seems to contrast with all the new beginning energy we've been seeing. But the more I tune into it, the more I understand why it's here. The Eight of Cups is about walking away from something that no longer serves you, even if it's been comfortable or familiar. It's about that moment when you realize that what you thought you wanted isn't actually what you need. This card is directly answering that unspoken question I mentioned at the beginning. I think part of what you've been quietly wondering, maybe not even in words, but just as a feeling in your gut, is whether it's okay to let go of something. Whether it's a situation, a relationship dynamic, a goal that no longer resonates, a version of yourself that you've outgrown, whatever it is. You've been carrying this low-level anxiety about whether walking away makes you a quitter or whether you should just stick it out. The Eight of Cups is the universe's clear answer, and it's this. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is admit that something that was right for you once isn't right for you anymore. That's not failure. That's growth. That's wisdom. That's honoring the truth of who you're becoming rather than clinging to who you used to be. Here's what I think is going to happen in the next 7 days. You're going to have a moment of clarity about something you've been tolerating or pushing through or trying to make work. It might come as a sudden realization, or it might be a gradual recognition that builds until you can't ignore it anymore. Either way, you're going to understand with absolute certainty that it's time to move on from something. Now, the Eight of Cups doesn't necessarily mean dramatic action. You don't have to burn bridges or make grand announcements. In fact, with your Taurus energy, this walking away might be quite quiet and personal. It's an internal shift first, a decision you make with yourself about what you're no longer available for. The external actions can unfold in their own time. What I love about this card following the Ace of Pentacles is that it's showing you why there's space for the new opportunity. You can hold on to the new seed if your hands are full of things that are already withering. The Eight of Cups is about creating that space, releasing your grip on what's complete so you can reach for what's emerging. This might also relate to emotional patterns or ways of thinking that you're ready to leave behind. Maybe you're walking away from the need to have everything perfectly secure before you take action. Maybe you're leaving behind the belief that you have to sacrifice your own needs to be good or worthy. Maybe you're releasing the story that you're stuck or limited in some way. The cups in this card represent emotional fulfillment, and the 8 of them stacked up represents something that looks impressive, but isn't actually filling you up anymore. Pay attention to what feels heavy in the next week. Not everything that's challenging is meant to be released, but there will be something specific that just feels done. Trust that feeling. Your intuition is incredibly strong as a Taurus once you actually listen to it, and it's going to guide you clearly on this one, the final card. The 6th card in this reading is 7 of Wands, and this is such a powerful place to land. The 7 of Wands is about standing your ground, defending your position, holding your space against opposition or challenge. After all the internal shifts and new beginnings we've seen in the other cards, the 7 of Wands is saying okay. Now here's how you maintain it. This card is letting you know that as you step into this answered prayer, this solution to your unspoken question, there might be some pushback. Not necessarily from other people, although that's possible, but often the pushback comes from within. It's your own doubts and fears and old patterns trying to pull you back to what's familiar. The 7 of Wands is your reminder that you have every right to claim this new ground you're standing on. What makes this card particularly interesting in your reading is that it suggests you're going to have to advocate for yourself in some way. Maybe it's advocating for the new opportunity the Ace of Pentacles is bringing. Maybe it's defending your decision to walk away from what the 8 of Cups revealed is complete. Maybe it's simply standing firm in the truth of who you are. As the Queen of Pentacles exemplifies, even when it would be easier to shrink back or play small, the 7 of Wands has this energy of being slightly outnumbered or disadvantaged, but still prevailing through sheer determination and conviction. Here's what I want you to understand about this, Taurus. You're not being asked to fight for something that isn't yours. You're being asked to hold on to something that absolutely is yours, that you've earned, that belongs to you. There's a difference between struggling against the current and simply standing steady in your truth. In the next 7 days, there might be a moment where you feel tested. Someone might question your decision or your capability. A situation might seem more complicated than you expected. Your own inner critic might get louder. This is all normal, and it's all part of the process of claiming new territory in your life. The 7 of Wands is telling you that you have the strength to handle whatever comes, and more importantly, you have the right to stand where you're standing. What I'm also picking up with this card is that defending your position doesn't mean being aggressive or confrontational. Very Taurus appropriate. This is about quiet, steady, unmovable certainty. You know what you know. You've received your answer from the universe. You've recognized the new beginning. You've released what needed to be released. Now you just need to stay there, in that new alignment, even when it feels uncomfortable or unfamiliar. The 7 of Wands also suggests that what you're standing up for is worth it. You're not being stubborn about something trivial. You're protecting something valuable, whether that's your peace, your progress, your values, or your vision for what's possible. Trust that your instinct to hold your ground is coming from a place of wisdom, not ego. So let me bring all of this together for you, Taurus. In the next 7 days, the universe is answering a question you never asked out loud, and that answer is unfolding through a very specific sequence. First, you're going to recognize your own power and capability through the magician's energy. Then you're going to be invited to take a leap of faith with the Fool, trusting yourself to try something new. The Queen of Pentacles is going to remind you of your inherent worth and your ability to create both security and beauty. The Ace of Pentacles is going to bring an actual tangible opportunity that's the physical form of everything that's been shifting internally. The Eight of Cups is going to give you clarity about what you need to release to make space for what's coming. And the Seven of Wands is going to give you the strength to stand firm in all of this new territory, that question you've been carrying silently. It's probably something about whether you can trust yourself, whether you're capable of more than you've been allowing yourself to believe, whether it's safe to want what you want and go after it. The answer coming through these cards is a resounding yes, but with the understanding that yes means you have to participate. You have to recognize the opportunity, take the leap, release what's complete, and stand your ground. I'm genuinely excited for you, Taurus, because this reading has such forward momentum in it. Even the Eight of Cups, which is about leaving something behind, is ultimately about moving towards something better. Everything here is pointing to expansion, to claiming more of who you really are, to stepping into a version of your life that feels more authentic and aligned. Keep your eyes open in these next 7 days. The answer is coming, but it's not going to look the way you might expect. It's going to be both more practical and more magical than you imagined. Trust the process, trust yourself, and most importantly, trust that the universe really does hear even the questions we never speak out loud. Does anyone else feel this energy of answered prayers coming through? I'd love to hear if this resonates with where you're at right now. Remember, the universe is always listening, especially to the truths we hold in our hearts but never quite put into words.